If you're a video editor, no matter how good the visuals are, a bad sound design will always ruin your days of hard work. Whether you're editing podcasts or just editing for fun, sound design is always crucial, and one of the most underrated sound design skills is vocal mixing. If you just add sound effects and music for sound design, be ready because this video is going to open up a whole new world to your sound design knowledge. In today's video, I'm not gonna tell you the exact numbers. Instead, I'm going to teach you the concepts so you can use it not only for vocal mixing, but for any other sound design purposes you have. In this video, I'm going to mainly use Premiere Pro and DaVinci, but the workflow is the same, meaning you can adapt the concepts to whatever editing software you're using. Without further ado, let's jump right into it. The first thing I want to talk about is the track mixer window, and if you don't have it, you can add it from here or just switch to the audio workspace. Here we have every audio track with an extra one named mix. Using these faders, we can control the volume of each track, and if we click on this drop down, there are some empty effect slots so we can start building our effects chain. The effects processing order is top to bottom, and after the processing, the sound goes to mix, aka master track. It means what we hear is the mix track, and if an audio track is not connected to it, we won't hear it. And if we apply an effect on the mix track, it is going to be applied on every sound in our sequence. Now that you're familiar with track mixer window, let's talk about our effects chain. The first effect is always a denoise, but use it only if your sound got noise. Otherwise, it would destroy the sound. In this case, my voice don't have any noise, so I'll just remove it. The workflow for DaVinci is almost the same. Just go to the Fairlight section and you'll see the track mixers over here. DaVinci has a mix track just like Premiere Pro, but it has a different name, and that is Bus 1. Here you can click on the plus icon to add effects on your track. Alright, now let's move on to the next effect, and that is an EQ. But before applying that, let's talk about frequencies. Almost every video that we edit is in 48 kHz sample rate, and frequencies in this sample rate starts at 0 and goes all the way up to the 24 kHz. But our ears only can hear the 20 Hz to 20 kHz frequencies. The lower the frequencies, the deeper it is, and the higher it gets, the thinner it gets. For example, listen to this triangle wave and how it gets higher in the pitch as it goes to higher frequencies. Now let's apply parametric EQ to tweak our sound frequencies. First thing that we want to apply is a high pass, which just cuts the lower frequencies, and we want it to be around 100 Hz. By applying a high pass, we cut down some unwanted sounds like fans and coolers. So after applying it, try disabling your denoise if you used one to see if the high pass eliminates noises. If so, then remove the denoise. Another reason that we use a high pass is that it removes the harsh plosive sounds like and. Just increase the high pass amount until you feel it's removing details from your sound, and then decrease it a little bit. The range would be from 80 Hz to 150 Hz. In this case, I think 110 Hz works best for me. Pros and cons. At the end of this video, we will for DaVinci, we use Fairlight EQ, and it might look a little different, but trust me, every EQ out there follows the same principles. The next crucial effect is compressor, but first let's explain what is a compressor. Every compressor has two main properties, threshold and ratio. For instance, our threshold is -15 dB and our ratio is 3:1. Now I want you to consider threshold as a ceiling. Once the volume passes the ceiling, the compressor activates. And for every 3 dB that goes beyond our ceiling, the compressor only lets one of them pass and eliminates the two remaining dBs. In this example, if the original volume goes to -9 dB, the compressor turns it into -13 dB. Why? Because the compressor activates at -15 dB, and there's a 6 dB difference between our ceiling and our original dB, and our ratio is 3:1, which means only 2 of that 6 dB will be left and the rest is eliminated by the compressor. The math is simple. Just take the dBs that are passing our ceiling and divide them by the ratio, and then add the result to the ceiling to find the final volume. The main reason for using compressors is to shrink the voice, and what I mean by that is attenuating louder parts and then increasing the overall volume so the quieter parts of the voice is louder. The result would be a cohesive sound. Now back to Premiere Pro. The compressor we are looking for is the single band compressor. Every compressor has 3 more properties, and those are attack, release, and gain. Consider attack as the time it takes for the compressor to activate after volume passes the threshold or ceiling. Release as the time it takes for compressor to deactivate after the sound goes back under our ceiling, and gain as increasing or decreasing the overall volume. If you're confused, don't worry. Just leave attack and release as they are. The 3:1 ratio is usually what we go for, and after that we play with the threshold, but don't indulge in it, because too much compression will ruin our sound. After a little bit of tweaking, these are the numbers that seem to work best for me. In DaVinci, we don't have a single band compressor effect. Instead, we have the dynamics, which visualizes compression well. This vertical line is our threshold, and here you can see how it attenuates the volume based on the ratio. The problem with this is the dynamics are being processed after our effects, which until now is fine, but we want the next few effects to be processed after our compression. The solution is sending this track to a whole new track and apply the rest of the effects on the new track. To do that, we should go to Bus Formats and click Add Bus. And now we send our track to Bus 2 for applying the remaining effects. One of the gotchas is that you need to send the Bus 2 to Bus 1, otherwise you can't hear it. These days Cavalry is really hyped, and in today's video in Premiere Pro we can send a track's output to another track just like DaVinci. All you have to do is creating a submix by clicking on these empty slots after this line and selecting the preferred type, which in this case is a stereo submix. Let's make a quick recap. We have our processed sound being sent to the submix, and after being processed on submix, it goes to our master track. Now that our sound is compressed, it's time to shape our voice with another EQ. There are three main parts that we are going to boost or attenuate to see if it makes our voice sound better: the body, the presence, and the air. The most important one is the presence range, because most of the frequencies that help us realize what words are being said lives here. Increasing frequencies in this range might help your words become more clear, but too much boost in here makes it sound like the voice is coming from a radio. If you're a motion designer, you've probably heard the name Cavalry popping up everywhere. Decreasing this range on the other hand makes it feel warmer, but too much attenuation makes your voice sound a way that no one can understand what you're saying. I've mentioned three parts, but feel free to boost or attenuate different parts to see if it makes the voice sound better, but don't indulge in it. Now it's time to apply a de-esser. In simple terms, a de-esser is a compressor that just aims for a certain frequency range. Although Premiere Pro has a de-esser effect and most of the people use that, I personally tend to use a multiband compressor. In our multiband compressor, we have 4 parts divided by these 3 lines, and each part's properties for compression is right here. We are aiming for this sound. It usually lives in the 5 kHz to 8 kHz range. Now let's set our boundaries for the compression. The part we are trying to compress is the third section, which means we have to tweak the green compressor. In terms of shapes and texts are pretty much the same, but one thing I really want to point out is that you can paste SVGs directly into the program. If you're still having plosive sounds that pop like a harsh but you can't remove it with a high pass because of the detail it removes, try using another multiband compressor and aim for that area. It's old looking UI, which I really don't like. Now it's time to apply a hard limiter. A hard limiter has a ceiling just like a compressor, but a hard limiter won't let any sound go beyond that ceiling. That's why we use compressor in the earlier steps. The hard limiter is pretty noticeable, and too much of clipping is disturbing, so we have to try our best to prevent it from clipping our peaks too hard. The best value for it would be between -1 dB and -2 dB. I have to mention that we apply the hard limiter on our master track, so not only our voice, but any other sounds won't go louder than a certain level. Basically, we are using it to avoid digital clipping. Alright, now that our effects chain is completed, it's time for the final step, and that is automation. Automation in simple terms means adding keyframes to a sound. Technically they're called automation points or notes, but most people still call them keyframes. Even though we did a lot to our voice, we may still have some parts that are too loud and some that are too quiet. What I'm gonna do is just scrub through the sound and keep an eye on the waveforms to spot these kinds of areas. That sounds like this. When you open up the program, and then do something like this to fix them. When you open up the program, to add keyframes like this, just hold Ctrl or Command on Mac and click. And for Resolve, hold Alt or Option on Mac. And to remove these keyframes, hold Ctrl and Alt and then click. I have to mention that you should be on the fader level to alter the volume, otherwise you'll end up automating other stuff. I personally don't boost the quiet parts, but I always attenuate the loud and disturbing parts. But if you were mixing music, take your time and adjust every part of it. This is the effects chain that works best for me, but some people out there tend to use a single EQ and do all the shapings in that single EQ. And some people put their de-esser before the compressor, so feel free to try these as well. The effects chain that I just taught you is the way most artists mix their vocals. The only difference is we are not pitch shifting our voice to be on certain notes. But if you want to do that, use an autotune after the denoise and before the first EQ. I wanted to include the autotune in this video, but when I tried it out myself, it made the vocal robotic, which is not ideal for narration and videos, but if you were mixing music, definitely use one. Now let's listen to our processed and unprocessed voice to hear the difference. If you're a motion designer, you've probably heard the name Cavalry popping up everywhere. These days, Cavalry is really hyped, and in today's video, I'm gonna share my 2 weeks of experience using Cavalry as an After Effects user and talk about its pros and cons. At the end of this video, we will answer the question, will Cavalry replace After Effects? If you're a motion designer, you've probably heard the name Cavalry popping up everywhere. These days, Cavalry is really hyped, and in today's video, I'm gonna share my 2 weeks of experience using Cavalry as an After Effects user and talk about its pros and cons. At the end of this video, we will answer the question, will Cavalry replace After Effects? If you're a motion designer, you've probably heard the name Cavalry popping up everywhere. These days, Cavalry is really hyped, and in today's video, I'm gonna share my 2 weeks of experience using Cavalry as an After Effects user and talk about its pros and cons. At the end of this video, we will answer the question, will Cavalry replace After Effects? All of these were my opinions, so feel free to share yours in the comments. I also made a PDF file summarizing all these steps. If you want it, the link to it is in the description. Now that you've watched this video, you know what is an EQ and a compressor for the rest of your life, and you can use this knowledge to impress your clients. So please, for the sake of the algorithm, like this video and subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you find this video helpful, I recommend enabling notifications because there will be at least 2 more videos coming about advanced sound design. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.